This is Boston Red on the 22nd day of October 2013. The title of the episode today is The People and Obamacare. You'll hear from President Obama later, and Jerry Pippin will take the ball for the majority of this presentation. You'll hear from him after we finish. Just a couple of things we need to quickly clear up here. There have been notices of cancellation. We'll get to the Ohio story in a minute. But nonetheless, this is from the Kasich Health News, dated on the 21st. That would have been on Monday. Health plans are sending hundreds of thousands of cancellation letters to people who buy their coverage, frustrating some consumers who want to keep what they have. Others are forced to buy more costly policies. The main reason insurers offer is that the policies fall short of the requirements of the Affordable Health Care Act, which takes place on January 1. Most are ending policies sold after the law passed in March of 2010. At least a few are canceling plans sold to people with pre-existing conditions. By all accounts, the new policies will offer consumers better coverage, and in some cases for comparable costs, especially after the inclusion of the federal subsidy for those that qualify. The law requires policies sold in the individual market to cover at least 10 benefits, such as prescription drugs, mental health treatment, maternity care. In addition, insurers cannot reject people with medical problems or charge them a higher price. The policies also cap consumers' annual expenses at lower levels than many plans sold before the new rules. And this is why you hear all the controversy from people like the Texas Senator Canadian Cruz. But the cancellation notices, which began arriving in August, had shocked many consumers in light of President Obama's promise that people could keep their plan if they liked them. I don't feel that I need to change that, but I have to say, this is from Jeff Leonard, a TV editor in Los Angeles, who must find a new plan for his teenage daughter, who has a health condition that requires multiple surgeries. An estimated 14 million people purchase their own coverage because they don't get it through their jobs. Calls to insurers in several states show that many have sent notices. Florida Blue, for example, is terminating 300,000 policies, about 80% of its individual policies in the state. Kaiser Permanente in California has sent notices to 160,000 people, about half of its individual businesses in the state. Insurer Highmark in Pittsburgh is dropping 20% of its individual market consumers, while independent Bell Cross, a major insurer in Philadelphia, is dropping 45%. Some policies targeted, both independents and Highmark, are canceling so-called guaranteed issued policies, which have been sold to consumers who have pre-existing conditions when they signed up. Policyholders will with regular policies, because they did not have health problems, will be given an option to extend their coverage for next year. Consumer advocates say such cancellations raise concerns that companies may be targeting their most costly enrollees. They may be doing this as an opportunity to push the population into exchange and purge their systems of policyholders they no longer want. That's from Jerry Flanagan, an attorney with an advocacy group, Consumer Watch in California. Insurers deny that, saying they're encouraging pre-existing customers to re-enroll in their new plans. They all have new plans, and they're in the exchange. Continue to cover people with all types of health care, that says Highmark spokesman Christian Ash. She said some policyholders may have faced limited coverage for their medical conditions. With the new plans and richer benefits, and the policies in most cases will be at a lower rate. Paula Sunshine, Vice President of Marketing with Independence Sunshine, very interesting name, hopes the canceled policyholders will choose blue when they decide on a new plan. higher costs. Some receiving cancellations say it looks like the cost will go up, despite studies projecting that about half the enrollees will get income-based subsidies. Christy Malin, she's 56, lives outside of Seattle, has a health policy that costs $390 a month. That's pretty typical. A $2,500 deductible and $10,000 in potential out-of-the-pocket cost for such things as doctor's visits, drugs, or hospital care. As a replacement, Regents Bell Shield is offering her a plan for $79 more a month with a deductible twice as large as what she's paying now, but which limits her potential out-of-the-pocket costs to $62.50 a year, including deductibles. My impression was there were lots more choices, driving some of the rates down, said Malin, who does not believe she's eligible for a subsidy. She must make too much. She could, of course, get a much better policy than she's getting. I'm not sure why she wants to have such a high deductible in the first place, but the policy would, this particular policy roughly would be what, $460 a month, but some of the deductibles would change there, and instead of paying $10,000, she'll pay now $6,200. The Regent's spokesman, Rachel Cunningham, said the new plans offer consumers broad benefits, in which in many cases translate into higher costs. Health insurance experts say new pricing will vary, and much depends on where a person lives, their age, and type of policy they decide to buy. Some, including young people, those with skimpy high deductible plans, may see increases. Others, including those with health problems who buy coverage with higher deductibles than they have now, may see lower premiums. Blue Shield of California says roughly 119,000 cancellation notices out. They sent them out in mid-September. 60% of its individual businesses, 2/3 of those policyholders will see rate increases in their new policies, but they will get more for the buck. Like other insurers, Blue Shield letters let customers know they have to make a decision by the end of the year. That's the 31st of December, or they will automatically be enrolled in a recommended plan. Now that's a catch right there. There's going to be a certain amount of charm in the marketplace as people have to make up their decisions. There's no doubt about that. So this is one aspect from them. In the state of Ohio, Kasich is the governor there, and they have a special commission, have decided to accept a Medicare subsidy. I think Jerry Pippin will talk about this. And the Republicans, of course, are going to court. What that means, roughly 300,000 people in the state of Ohio will have an opportunity to be on Medicaid. And no doubt in the state of Ohio they need it. To the football scores tonight, the Vikings were, I guess you'd say, mildly destroyed in New York by the Giants, 23-7. So these were two very bad teams, and Eli Manning Giants beat the 1-5 Vikings of Minnesota. Bud Adams, he's the owner of the Titans of Texas, died. He was 90 years old. And Cutler, the Bears quarterback, will miss at least 4 weeks. Well, he wasn't playing that well anyway. So, and Mr. Manning of Los Angeles, the coach, he may or may not return. Who knows? He was in the hot seat earlier in the year. We'll go now to Jerry Pippin, and he will finish this broadcast up with his thoughts. And then, of course, President Obama speaking from the White House today about the software problems facing the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. One thing to remember, he will give a phone number out. You can dial in and request a paper copy and fill out the paper, or go to the website. They have talented people there to take care of this. These issues with the site will, in fact, be taken care of. As Jerry says, the media, monopoly media, is blowing it out of proportion because they simply don't have anything else to cover. Now that the shutout is now a shut-in, and the debt ceiling is temporarily postponed till they have another attack on it in several months. So thus the news is a little bit, as one would say, light. Hillary Clinton has been traveling around. She's in Virginia at the end of last week, campaigning there for the Democratic candidate for governor. And so it goes on the 22nd day of October for us. On to Jerry Pippin. And a reminder, Jerry Pippin has a special on the 22nd of November, assassination of John F. Kennedy in Dallas, Texas. He will also discuss, as he did here, and we apologize for technical difficulties. We just made a big flat error. On that was on Sunday. But nonetheless, he has a little different presentation here, and he'll be talking about Sabato's book, The Kennedy Half Century, and also in this there's an interview from, of all places, the Dallas School Book Depository. Now it is a Dallas County building, and they have a museum there, and some of the same agents will be there. Blaine, Jerry Blaine, and also Clint Hill. He was the man that jumped on the back of the limousine and shielded Jackie Kennedy and President Kennedy 50 years later. Good day.
I'm going to spend a little time talking to you about Obamacare, or the Affordable Health Act. Affordable is probably the way most people like to refer to it. But either way, the point is that President Obama came out and started taking it for his side. He's been taking an awful beating since the government shut down and the debt ceiling was averted temporarily for the time being from the major media, even including people like the Washington Post. And as President Obama said this morning, he's upset about it, as well as everybody else is. And I mean, after all, it is a pride and joy, this Affordable Care Act, and the whole thing has been bombarded back and forth with people pointing fingers at the time. Now, Obama admits that there is some reason to talk about that. And we can talk about that. And obviously what we personally come up with is the idea that perhaps some of these contractors that were hired to develop this website tried to put too much of it together at one time. And as a result of that, things just went afoul, as you know they can on the Internet. And I've been on the Internet for 13 years now, and I can tell you that those things happen. Snafus do occur, and especially one of the major problems with any website is overusage. We've heard of denial of service, and basically that's what it is. You bombard a website with all kinds of people going to it, that are, even though they're not really there, and you knock it dead. Well, the Obama Affordable Health Care website never went down. It did freeze up, and it doesn't work very well, and Obama admitted that today. But I find it very interesting that we have two tracks going here at the same time. One thing is that some of the major media, some of the regular media outlets, reporting gleefully on the failure of this website, even though there's other places you can get information and sign up for health insurance at a low discount. And to the media's credit, originally they reported some of the very low prices being offered, but that was some time back. They don't do that anymore. They're spending more time on this website. And as President Obama said, there's other ways to get there. and one of those is snail mail, another is a telephone call, and many of the state-run websites are operating fairly well. And of course, it was never intended for the federal website to have as much traffic as is, but many states just didn't want to get involved. Now that's changing somewhat. It's very interesting that there have been many states, and not, more than a handful, but not the huge amount yet, that have decided to take expanded Medicaid coverage after all. And remember, that was one of the things the Republicans didn't like about it. And remember, one of the things about this Affordable Care Act is that there are government subsidies and discounts for people making up to $48,000 or so a year. So, it's certainly not just low income, even though low income people do benefit highly because they get health care and they could not afford it at all otherwise. And the government puts the bill on that. So I think what we need to be doing over the next, I would say, 6 weeks, going into the new year, into January, maybe even a little longer, 8 or 9 weeks, is watch how this plays out. As you know, it's not easy to correct things on the internet, and when you bring in, as President Obama insinuated today, he's bringing in lots of more people to work on this problem. Sometimes you get too many cooks in the kitchen, and you wonder why they tried to have this website do all kinds of things, from checking your security to see what you're doing or whatever, when that probably could have been worked out later after you enrolled. And then if you were an imposter or something like that, then they could deal with you later. But that's hindsight. Overall, the president and his pet project, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, is going to revolutionize everything. All I want to say is that I'm old enough to remember when Medicare came in, and there was so much objection to Medicare from the Republicans and from the conservative element, and even at the originally from the AMA, the Doctors Association, the American Medical Association, and hospital groups, and etc. But that quickly muted. Why? Because of money. All of a sudden, doctors were getting paid a fair price for the services on Medicare, and before that had difficulty collecting from senior citizens because senior citizens don't have a great deal of money, and especially back in those days, Social Security did not rise to how much it is today. And Medicare payments are now the target of the Republicans to try to whittle that down. And there is, no doubt about it, overcharges by hospitals. For instance, I can testify to that. My bill at St. John's Medical Center, over all of the Medicare things that have paid over the last 2 years, is over $200,000, if you can believe that. And there's no way any individual could pay that. Now, what would happen if we tried to whittle down the hospitals? Is what Obama wants to do. Unless you get the private insurance companies involved as well to demand cuts in prices, then Medicare will take the brunt. So it'll be interesting to see how President Obama deals with this and his compromises on Medicare and Social Security. But by and large, right now, the opposition knows, the corporate media knows, that once the Obamacare kicks into action, people are actually getting insured for less money than they ever dreamed. Coverage is still good. They're paying sufficiently. All of a sudden, everyone's health is improving because they can afford to go to a doctor. They know that then it will be too late to ever stop the Affordable Care Act or any effort to have this sort of medical aid. Now, whether or not this is socialized medicine, well, it's really debatable, It's basically a make money for insurance companies and hospitals. And if you look at how it was put together, definitely the corporations were involved. So are they likely to, revolt later? I don't think so. So I think even the opposition to the Affordable Care Act knows that once this catches hold in 2 or 3 years, well, there won't be any turning back. And that's my ideas on what's happening with the health care of America. An improvement is on the way. Trust me.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, accompanied by Ms. Janice Baker.
I have the privilege to say that I'm the first person in the state of Delaware to enroll for health insurance through the new marketplace. Like many consumers... Like many consumers out there, it took me a number of frustrating attempts before I could apply for and select my plan. I kept trying because I needed access to the new health care options. I had applied to 3 private insurance companies only to be rejected due to pre-existing health conditions. I am too young for Medicare, but I'm too old not to have some health issues. I was able to find a policy I am thrilled with, saving $150 a month and much lower deductibles than my previous policy that I held through my small business. I'm here today to encourage other people like me who needs access to quality, affordable insurance, and to tell them to have patience with such a new system. Without this ability to get this insurance, I know that a single hospital stay could have bankrupted me and my business. Thank you all, and I am now honored to introduce the President of the United States.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Well, thank you, Janice, and thanks to everybody here for coming on this beautiful day. Welcome to the White House. About 3 weeks ago, as the federal government shut down, the Affordable Care Act's health insurance marketplaces opened for business across the country. Well, we've now gotten the government back open for the American people, and today I want to talk about how we're going to get the marketplaces running at full steam as well. And I'm joined today by folks who've either benefited from the Affordable Care Act already or who are helping their fellow citizens learn about what this law means for them and how they can get covered. Of course, you've probably heard that healthcare.gov, the new website where people can apply for health insurance and browse and buy of course, you've probably heard that healthcare.gov, the new website where people can apply for health insurance and browse and buy affordable plans in most states, hasn't worked as smoothly as it was supposed to work. And the number of people who visited the site has been overwhelming, which has aggravated some of these underlying problems. Despite all that, thousands of people are signing up and saving money as we speak. Many Americans with a pre-existing condition, like Janice, are discovering that they can finally get health insurance like everybody else. So today I want to speak to every American who's looking to get affordable health insurance. I want you to know what's available to you and why it may be a good deal for you. And for those who've had some problems with the website, I want to tell you what we're doing to make it work better and how you can sign up to get covered in other ways. But before I do that, let me remind everybody that the Affordable Care Act is not just a website. It's much more. For the vast majority of Americans, for 85% of Americans who already have health insurance through your employer or Medicare or Medicaid, you don't need to sign up for coverage through a website at all. You've already got coverage. What the Affordable Care Act does for you is to provide you with new benefits and protections that have been in place for some time. You may not know it, but you're already benefiting from these provisions in the law. For example, because of the Affordable Care Act, young people like Jasmine Jennings and Jessica Ugalde and Ezra Salop, all of whom are here today, they've been able to stay on their parents' plans until they're 26. Millions of other young people are currently benefiting from that part of the law. Another part of the Affordable Care Act is providing seniors with deeper discounts on their prescription medicine. Billions of dollars have been saved by seniors already. That's part of the law. It's already in place. It's happening right now. Already, because of the Affordable Care Act, preventive care like mammograms and birth control are free through your employers. That's part of this law. So there are a wide range of consumer protections and benefits that you already have if you've got health insurance. You may not have noticed them, but you've got them. And they're not going anywhere. And they're not dependent on a website. Here's another thing that the Affordable Care Act does. In states where governors and legislatures have wisely allowed it, the Affordable Care Act provides the opportunity for many Americans to get covered under Medicaid for the first time. So in Oregon, for example, that's helped cut the number of uninsured people by 10% just in the last 3 weeks. Think about that. That's 56,000 more Americans who now have health care. That doesn't depend on a website. Now, if you're one of the 15% of Americans who don't have health insurance, either because you can't afford it, or because your employer doesn't offer it, or because you're a small business person, you have to go out on the individual market and buy it on your own, and it's just too expensive, October 1st was an important date. That's when we opened the new marketplaces where people without health insurance or who can't afford health insurance or who aren't part of a group plan can finally start getting affordable coverage. And the idea is simple. By enrolling in what we're calling these marketplaces, you become part of a big group plan, as if you were working for a big employer. A statewide group plan that spreads risk between sick people and healthy people, between young and old, and then bargains on your behalf for the best deal on health care. What we've done is essentially created competition where there wasn't competition before. We've created these big group plans, and now insurers are really interested in getting your business. And so insurers have created new health care plans with more choices to be made available through these marketplaces. And as a result of this choice and this competition, prices have come down. When you add the new tax credits of this choice and this competition, prices have come down. When you add the new tax credits that many people are eligible for through the law, then the prices come down even further. So one study shows that through new options created by the Affordable Care Act, nearly 6 in 10 uninsured Americans will find that they can get covered for less than $100 a month. Think about that. Through the marketplaces, you can get health insurance for what may be the equivalent of your cell phone bill or your cable bill. And that's a good deal. So the fact is, the product of the Affordable Care Act for people without health insurance is quality health insurance that's affordable. And that product is working. It's really good. And it turns out there's a massive demand for it. So far, the national website, healthcare.gov, has been visited nearly 20 million times. 20 million times. And there's great demand at the state level as well, because there are a bunch of states that are running their own marketplaces. We know that nearly 1/3 of the people applying in Connecticut and Maryland, for example, are under 35 years old. They understand that they can get a good deal at low costs, have the security of health care, and this is not just for old folks like me, that everybody needs good quality health insurance. And all told, more than 500,000 consumers across the country have successfully submitted applications through federal and state marketplaces. And many of those applications aren't just for individuals, it's for their entire families. So even more people are already looking to potentially take advantage of the high-quality, affordable insurance that is provided through the Affordable Care Act. So, let me just recap here. The product is good. The health insurance that's being provided is good. It's high quality and it's affordable. People can save money, significant money, by getting insurance that's being provided through these marketplaces. And we know that the demand is there. People are rushing to see what's available. And those who've already had a chance to enroll are thrilled with the result. Every day, people who were stuck with sky-high premiums because of pre-existing conditions are getting affordable insurance for the first time, or finding, like Janice did, that they're saving a lot of money. Every day, women are finally buying coverage that doesn't charge them higher premiums than men for the same care. Every day, people are discovering that new health insurance plans have to cover maternity care, mental health care, free preventive care. So you just heard Janice's story. She owns her own small business. She recently became the first woman to enroll in coverage through Delaware's exchange. And it's true. It took her a few tries. But it was worth it, after being turned down for insurance 3 times due to minor pre-existing conditions. So now she'll be covered. She'll save $150 a month, and she won't have to worry that one illness or accident will cost her her business that she's worked so hard to build. And Janice is not alone. I recently received a letter from a woman named Jessica Sanford in Washington State. And here's what she wrote. I am a single mom, no child support, self-employed, and I haven't had insurance for 15 years because it's too expensive. My son has ADHD and requires regular doctor visits, and his meds alone cost $250 per month. I've had an ongoing tendonitis problem due to my line of work that I haven't had treated. Now, finally, we get to have coverage because of the ACA for $169 per month. I was crying the other day when I signed up. So much stress lifted. Now, that is not untypical for a lot of folks like Jessica who have been struggling without health insurance. That's what the Affordable Care Act is all about. For a lot of folks like Jessica who have been struggling without health insurance. That's what the Affordable Care Act is all about. The point is, the essence of the law, the health insurance that's available to people, is working just fine. In some cases, actually, it's exceeding expectations. The prices are lower than we expected. The choice is greater than we expected. But the problem has been that the website that's supposed to make it easy to apply for and purchase the insurance is not working the way it should for everybody. And there's no sugarcoating it. The website has been too slow. People have been getting stuck during the application process. And I think it's fair to say that nobody's more frustrated by that than I am. Precisely because the product is good. I want the cash registers to work. I want the checkout lines to be smooth. So I want people to be able to get this great product. And there's no excuse for the problems. And these problems are getting fixed. But while we're working out the kinks in the system, I want everybody to understand the nature of the problem. First of all, even with all the problems at healthcare.gov, the website is still working for a lot of people. Just not as quick or efficient or consistent as we want. And although many of these folks have found that they had to wait longer than they wanted, once they complete the process, they're very happy with the deal that's available to them, just like Janice is. Second, I want everybody to remember that we're only 3 weeks into a 6-month open enrollment period when you can buy these new plans. Keep in mind, the insurance doesn't start until January 1st. That's the earliest that the insurance can kick in. No one who decides to purchase a plan has to pay their first premium until December 15th. And unlike the day after Thanksgiving sales for the latest PlayStation or flat screen TVs, the insurance plans don't run out. They're not going to sell out. They'll be available through the marketplace throughout the open enrollment period. The prices that insurers have set will not change. So everybody who wants insurance through the marketplace will get insurance, period. Everybody who wants insurance through the marketplace will get insurance. Third, we are doing everything we can possibly do to get the websites working better, faster, sooner. We've got people working overtime, 24/7, to boost capacity and address the problems. Experts from some of America's top private sector tech companies, who, by the way, have seen things like this happen before, they want it to work. They're reaching out. They're offering to send help. We've had some of the best IT talent in the entire country join the team, and we're well into a tech surge to fix the problem. And we are confident that we will get all the problems fixed. Number 4, while the website will ultimately be the easiest way to buy insurance through the marketplace, it isn't the only way. Now, I want to emphasize this. Even as we redouble our efforts to get the site working as well as it's supposed to, we're also redoubling our efforts to make sure you can still buy the same quality, affordable insurance plans available on the marketplace the old-fashioned way, offline, either over the phone or in person. And by the way, there are a lot of people who want to take advantage of this who are more comfortable working on the phone anyway or in person. So let me go through the specifics as to how you can do that if you're having problems with the website or you just prefer dealing with a person. Yesterday, we updated the website's homepage to offer more information about the other avenues to enroll in affordable health care until the online option works for everybody. So you'll find information about how to talk to a specialist who can help you apply over the phone, or to receive a downloadable application you can fill out yourself and mail in. We've also added more staff to the call centers where you can apply for insurance over the phone. They've been working, but a lot of people have decided first to go to the website, but keep in mind these call centers are already up and running. And you can get your questions answered by real people 24 hours a day in 150 different languages. And you can get your questions answered by real people 24 hours a day in 150 different languages. The phone number for these call centers is 1-800-318-2596. I want to repeat that, 1-800-318-2596. Wait times have averaged less than 1 minute so far on the call centers, although I admit that the wait times probably might go up a little bit now that I've read the number out loud on national television. But the point is, the call centers are available. You can talk to somebody directly, and they can walk you through the application process. And I guarantee you, if one thing's worth the wait, it's the safety and security of health care that you can afford, or the amount of money that you can save by buying health insurance through the marketplaces. Once you get on the phone with a trained representative, it usually takes about 25 minutes for an individual to apply for coverage, about 45 minutes for a family. Once you apply for coverage, you'll be contacted by email or postal mail about your coverage status. But you don't have to just go through the phone. You can also apply in person with the help of local navigators. These are people specially trained to help you sign up for health care, and they exist all across the country. Or you can go to community health centers and hospitals. Just visit localhelp.healthcare.gov to find out where in your area you can get help and apply for insurance in person. And finally, if you've already tried to apply through the website and you've been stuck somewhere along the way, do not worry. In the coming weeks, we will contact you directly, personally, with a concrete recommendation for how you can complete your application, shop for coverage, pick a plan that meets your needs, and get covered once and for all. So here's the bottom line. The product, the health insurance, is good. The prices are good. It is a good deal. People don't just want it, they're showing up to buy it. Nobody's madder than me about the fact that the website isn't working as well as it should, which means it's going to get fixed. And in the meantime, you can bypass the website and apply by phone or in person. So don't let problems with the website deter you from signing up or signing your family up or showing your friends how to sign up, because it is worth it. It will save you money. If you don't have health insurance, if you've got a pre-existing condition, it will save you money and it will give you the security that your family needs. In fact, even with the website issues, we've actually made the overall process of buying insurance